Hi, and welcome back to another episode of New York Queens Unplugged. I'm your girl, Nikki.
And I'm Nay.
And we're New York Queens Unplugged. So, Nay, what's been going on this week? Anything special?
Well, before I get to that, I do want to thank all of you guys for joining. Also thank you for subscribing.
Yeah.
And any new subscribers or new people watching, we want to thank you for joining. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps us. And we appreciate you all.
No, definitely appreciate you. And just remember that we're on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Snapchat, and we're at New York Queens Unplugged. And you can find us on Snapchat at New York Q Unplugged.
Yeah, so, my week, it's been a little hectic.
Mm-hmm.
I've been running around, working, of course, and running around, getting my son together. My son is graduating.
Oh, that's awesome.
He's graduating in June.
That's exciting.
So it's like I'm doing all these preparations and pictures and this is a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So that was what my week consists of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, he's going to high school, so he's graduating for 8th grade.
Well, that's very exciting.
Yeah.
Well, my week was pretty good. Had some car issues, but got that squared away. Let me see what else. Oh, my daughter had an issue at school. Well, it wasn't her issue, but there was a young woman that decided to jump off the building at her high school. So that was very, very sad.
Yeah.
And as a result, she did pass away. And I believe that, other children at the school are having some difficulties, due to that situation.
Yeah.
So,
This is something that's really been going on in the school system, with, I believe allegedly it was bullying that drove her to.
Well, they don't really know. I know that they were saying that there was some bullying involved, but I don't want to speculate. Again, I say allegedly because I don't really know. But ultimately, we don't know why she ended up taking her life. It's a very sad situation.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But, if it was, I do want to spread awareness to that. I'm hoping that the schools are doing something in regards to bullying. I have, people that I'm close to that I know, children that I know are dealing with bullying in school, and it really affects them. And I want, the world to know that they know already, but this is really a serious matter.
No,
because,
it is.
A lot of children, they can't take it. It's just a lot. You don't know what's going on at home. You don't know what's going on in everyday lives. And then they have to go to school somewhere that they spend most of their time trying to get an education. They have to go to school and worry about who's going to be bullying me today, who's going to take my lunch, who's going to call me a name, or, it's really ridiculous. And, kids are having a really hard time with that. It's supposed to be an environment to be educated and, it's just, I don't know. Yeah. Something just needs to really be done about that.
And if you know somebody, if you're a young person and you know somebody that's having issues or, or talking about thoughts of suicide, tell an adult. Go to an adult and let them know. Go to your principal, go to a teacher, go to your parent, go to anyone that you can tell that could possibly get them help.
Please do.
Okay.
Thank you.
So other than that,
yeah. So we happened to be browsing in the news lately.
Yes, it's been all over the news.
Yeah,
actually.
all over the news about a young lady that was raped and murdered by her father. Tragic.
In Toledo, Ohio. Her name was Kamani Lateague. She was 13 years old, and they found her in an abandoned building with her hands cut off. And just shy of her 14th birthday. So we just want to keep her family in our prayers.
We do.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
But today we have a very, very exciting guest by the name of Julie Haers from Breathe Capital LLC.
Nice.
So she will be joining us today just to talk about finances, which a lot of us
Yes,
need.
we do.
We need to learn how to manage our money.
Yes.
Lord knows I do. And you know, as a black woman and you know, living in the black community, that is something that we don't learn firsthand, right? I know growing up, my mom, she was a big saver. She used to always, she knew how to hold on to $1. You know what I'm saying? So, and she always had money. So growing up in the projects, people would borrow money from my mother. And it'd be like, oh, Pat got money. Pat know how to save money.
Oh, that's not good.
And she did. I know. It's not good that people always wanted to borrow. Not to say she always would lend,
Yeah,
but
you in a project, Pat got money.
Yeah.
Pat got money.
But she knew how to save. That's
Okay,
what I'm trying to get
I
to. You know, she knew how to save. So in this day and age, as we're navigating, you know, the different systems, new presidents and politics, you know, how do we get to the bottom line of how to save our money, where to invest our money, and basically, you know, how to teach our children how to invest and save our money. I think that's very important.
Very important.
You know, especially in this day and age, because it's hard to rub two nickels together, you know, and rent prices are sky high.
Yeah.
And groceries, you name it, you know. So this lady, Julie, has made a life for herself doing this. And she is here to let us know how we can do it too.
All right.
Let's welcome Julie Haers of Breathe Capital, LLC. And we're here today on New York Queens Unplugged with Julie Haers from Breathe Capital, LLC. Welcome, Julie.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you both for having me. I'm a big fan of you both.
Thank you.
The podcast and everything that you're doing and the awareness that you're bringing to the community is amazing. So thank you both.
Thank you. We appreciate you. And we appreciate you for all the awareness that you're bringing and that you're sharing your wealth of knowledge with us today. So tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and...
Sure, absolutely. So I had been in big corporate for probably 20 years, traveled all over the world for one of the world's billionaires, was at the top of my game about 7-8 years ago and got divorced. And if you know anything about getting divorced, it's kind of a critical time in your life financially. My son was very young and I kept having to get on planes and travel all over the country. And my life and my career just no longer fit anymore. So it was time for a change. My father, who had been in big corporate himself and left the corporation to start his own business, the day that I was getting on the plane to go to Dallas on my son's 7th birthday, he just looked at me and he said, "No disrespect, your mother and I respect you tremendously, but my friend, it's time for a change. Why don't you start your own company?" I kind of felt like I didn't want to work. I didn't really want to go to work for anybody locally. I thought I really wanted to start my own business. And he said, leverage the skills and things that you've learned working for this big corporation and doing these, really elaborate things of succession planning from one generation to another, or packaging up companies to sell to another entity. Leverage that financial information to help other people. And I was like, you know what? My dad is right. So that's how I got into this business. I got lucky enough to find my business partner about 5 years ago. And we decided that we wanted to build something that we didn't see in the marketplace, which was a combination of your mindset, what you believe about money, how you were raised with money, self-limiting beliefs that might be holding you back, as well as analytics. We wanted to marry these two things to help people in a very unique way. So that's how we started the company, Breathe Capital Planning. It's been 3 years and I can't believe it. I feel like time flies by.
Okay. And how do you... Okay, so with putting all those things together, right? So you said a key word for me is how were you raised with money? Like, what do you believe about money, right? So one of the things I was telling Nay a little while ago was that my mom, she was a great saver. And she was kind of like, I want to say, a hoarder of money. She always had it. So people always knew, like, if they needed a couple dollars, they can go to my mom and borrow the money because she always had some type of money on her. So It does really start at home, but for some reason, I didn't. That didn't fall on me. Like I didn't.
Yeah, I get it.
You
Because
didn't
I
inherit
spend
that.
it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I spend it.
That can sometimes happen where it skips a generation, or you
Yes.
kind of like forget the lesson that your ancestors are trying to impart to you, right? So
Exactly.
I can tell you for a fact, I was raised with two very different schools of thought. My mother and her family, they came from Texas, Louisiana, all the way to New York in construction, laying the pipeline from Texas to New York.
Mm-hmm.
My mom moved 18 times in 16 years.
Yes.
We had six kids. There was
Wow.
times where they really went without. I'm only a
Mm-hmm.
generation away from food scarcity. And my
Yes.
mom telling me all the time, young lady, money doesn't grow on trees. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
in my world, it does, mom,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm willing to do the work and I'm willing to put in the effort. And at 12 years old, I went out and got three jobs. I
Mm-hmm.
probably would have got four if my parents let me, because I wanted to have my own money. I remember going to the store with my parents and my father saying, I'm not buying you those six outfits, but your mom and I will buy you one outfit. But if you want to go to work, I'll sign papers and you can go to work. And
Yes.
that's exactly what I did. And I've been working ever since. And I'm a big believer of, if you want something, you can work for it.
Mm-hmm.
A big mindset thing is, even when we get money, ladies, sometimes there's two things that can happen. We spend it so fast, it's almost on an autopilot, and we don't even
Yes.
recognize that it's happening. That's one thing that can happen. And the other thing that happens, and I see this with people all the time that weren't raised with money, but that come into money, they're
Mm-hmm.
terrified to spend a dollar. So there's these
Yes.
two dynamics that can happen. So instead of pretending like that's not happening, I like to unpack that whole mindset conversation with our clients and say, talk to me about, what do you really believe about money? Like, what
Mm-hmm.
do you believe to be true? Like, I'm just going to ask that to both of you guys. What is it that you believe about money? What do you think is true about money?
Okay. Okay. So for me, because of the profession I'm in, I believe I can always get it. Like no matter what, I'm gonna be able to grind out. I'm gonna be able to get it. It may come, but I'm gonna get it again. You know what I mean? So every day for me, I'm on the grind. So it may be gone today, but I'm gonna get it tomorrow. You know what I mean? So I'm never really worried about it. But at the same time, I'm not really saving a whole lot of it either. So that's where I'm like, okay, it's time to buckle down. So
Mhm.
take someone like me. How would you sit me down and help me like start from the very beginning? Because in our
Yeah.
community, this is a big problem.
Yep. It's in every community, I would agree.
Mm-hmm.
And with women in general, you guys, it wasn't until 1972 that the Fair Credit Act was enacted
Mm-hmm.
for women to actually get credit in their own name. So that's like in my lifetime.
Yes,
So
mine
there
too.
was a time in this country where we had to get credit under a man's name, which just like, it really burns me.
Yeah.
So, but to answer your question, Nicole, the very first thing that we do is cash flow. Cash flow is king. So we have a really simple process that we follow where it's a one-page spreadsheet and we talk about, okay, what's your income coming in? Great. We write it all down. It's a one-page Excel spreadsheet. Tell me about all of your fixed expenses. Okay, cool. We fill all that out. Okay, well, tell me other ways that you're spending. And like, let's look at your credit card for the last couple months and let's look at your debit card. Let's actually go through and highlight, where did we spend our money? And I often ask this question, where you were spending your money, did it give you a return on the money that you spent? Do you regret any of these expenses? If
Mm.
you don't feel aligned with the way that you spent your resources, it's not like I'm the boss of you, but I just encourage you to get more in alignment with where your money's going. If that doesn't give you a tremendous return on the investment, then maybe we need to start collecting some money in like a savings account. We call it actually a holding account, where we encourage people to have 5% extra in your main checking account, your main bill pay account. Now, if you don't need it and it stays there, it'll just continue to build. But every month something comes up, whether it's a birthday party,
Yes.
you're going out to lunch, you didn't plan it. If you have 5% extra sitting in your checking account, you're going to be able to cover those overages,
Mhm.
right? So once we get a spare kind of assessment of what's happening with your cash flow. Then we help you build strategies to either get out of debt. If you have credit card debt where you're paying interest, we may want to tackle that first. Then we want to build cash reserves. I'm a huge believer in cash reserves. And because, I preached this and taught this so much during COVID, I had a lot of business owners call me and say, you saved our business, because I really have a thing, because I've managed and worked with so many business owners over 20 years. I'm like, you in a business, you've got to have 6 months reserve of what your bills are. You have to in a business, because anything can happen. And then COVID happened, right?
That's true.
Nobody saw that coming. No one saw that coming. And because they had that cash reserve, they could stay alive to get them to a place where things started to get a little bit better in the economy. So by building, enough, say your bills, your expenses, I don't know, the average expense level for a family is about 6 to 7 thousand a month. You want to just slowly start to build, build to 6,000, then build to 12, and then eventually get to 18,000, and have that in liquid, right? Have that pretty liquid. Once you've got that, then we're ready to invest. Then we should be starting to look at what are the investment tools that we should be using that are going to really help us. There's a lot of really great things that we can get involved with today. And we encourage people like that want to manage their own money. We don't get upset with that. We actually want to coach you through that and teach you how would you want to do that. There's things like Robinhood, Schwab, a Roth IRA is a really good idea. You also have qualified money, which is, your 401ks, your 403bs. That's money that your company will start investing for you. But to have outside investments that you are managing, or you're working with a team like myself and my business here that's helping you manage that, that's really important. But it's a series of steps. My partner and I built the guide to building wealth. It's a series of steps. It's like a sequence, right? The first thing you want to do is get yourself out of debt. Then you want to build cash reserves. Then you want to consider investments.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Can you go back to the Roth IRA? I hear that a
Yeah.
lot. I'm not sure I understand exactly what that is.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we have like everyone knows about a 401k, right? Because back when pensions were a thing, what started to happen with big corporations, they no longer could afford pensions, so they started offering their employees 401ks. It was never meant to be the only savings vehicle. It was simply meant to supplement pensions. But it kind of just got promoted as the way that you saved. The tough part about it is, for the money, say you put $3,000 in your 401k this year, you get a tax deduction for that money that you put in, right? But when you need that money at retirement, it's going to be taxed at ordinary income tax rates. And as we're sitting right here now, do we think income tax is going to stay the same, go down, or go up? What would you guys say to that?
Go up.
Go up.
Yeah. So you're building like a large tax situation for yourself in retirement when you need those dollars the most. The Roth works completely different. You pay taxes on that money, and then you take that money, you put it into an investment of mutual funds, very identical to the 401k. That's exactly what that is as well. And that money grows tax free, which is pretty cool. Now, there are income guidelines. So if you hit certain income levels, you no longer are able to fund a Roth. And that's different for individuals and couples.
So what's the minimum that you can put into a Roth?
I mean, you can. I don't love this advice. You can put $50 a month into it, right? The problem with that is the costs and the fees start to eat away your returns. So I don't really recommend that. I really recommend that you create a savings account and get yourself up to, I don't know, 1,500, 2,000, and then put it into a Roth.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can only touch it at retirement. Are you
No,
able to get loans?
Actually, the cool thing, Nay, about a Roth is the primary amount that you put in. So say you started with $3,000, and then like next year something happens and you have an emergency. You can take what you initially, it's called your basis, what you initially put in, you can take that out without taxes and penalties. What you can't really take out is the gains on it. So the gains on the Roth is really what you don't want to touch. You want to kind of let that grow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of nice. It's kind of a nice
Yeah.
feature. The other feature that we talk about with our clients a lot is cash value life insurance. It's a life insurance plan that allows you to build cash value within it. Because the life insurance carrier is actually paying you interest and dividends on the money that you're putting into it. So it's almost like having a Swiss Army knife. It gives you a death benefit, God forbid you prematurely pass, to your beneficiary. If you don't pass, it's starting to build cash value inside of that, and that cash value is tax free. So those dollars you can access tax free, and there's a couple of ways that you would do that.
And how do you go about getting a cash value life insurance policy?
Yeah, so most of the carriers, you're gonna wanna look for like one of the top two, three carriers that have really good rates of return as far as their dividends. So when I say that, you wanna look for, instead of a stock held or a stock company, you wanna look for more of a mutual company.
Okay.
Companies like Mass Mutual, different companies that are mutual. The reason that they're a mutual company is that you, as a participant, when you become an owner of a cash value life insurance, you actually are like inside the company. They're like paying you a dividend to participate
Oh,
in their cash value life insurance.
okay.
So you're getting dividend money and you're also getting interest on the money that you put into it. The process is like this: you do have to qualify for it. So you do go through a medical underwriting.
Mm-hmm.
Usually what happens is you work with a professional like myself or whomever you're working with that's licensed for it, and they create an illustration for you, kind of illustrating, okay, with this amount of dollars of you funding, this is what this will look like. You sign off on that. You go through a simple medical underwriting. It's a very simple exam. You fill out application, and then everything gets submitted to an underwriter, and they give you an offer, and you can either accept it or reject it. If you accept it, the contract gets bound by your payment. So then you start to make your payments, and that cash value starts to grow, and your death benefit starts to be there for you as well. Your death benefit is immediate. As soon as the contract is bound and you've paid for it, if God forbid something happened to you the next day, the carrier would pay the death benefit. The cash value will take a couple of years to accumulate because the contract, it works completely opposite of term insurance.
Mm.
Term insurance, you pay a lower amount per month for a death benefit, but it's just a death benefit. It doesn't have cash value in it. So what that does for you is, God forbid you pass prematurely, it pays a benefit to your beneficiaries, but it's either a 10, a 15, or a 20-year contract. And then at the end of that contract, the cost, the mortality table, and the cost for all that hits the back end of the contract. The cash value life insurance whole life works opposite. So the mortality tables, the cost to set it up, everything is front loaded. So it hits the front of the contract. So you put money into it for the first couple of years, you see no cash value, and you're like, what is this?
Mm-hmm.
But eventually, if you get past those initial years, then you start to see your cash value start to grow. It's a very, very powerful tool, my friends.
Okay.
It is the one tool that I used when I started negotiating exiting my marriage. All of our jointly held assets, and this can happen to anybody. When you start talking about getting divorced, they freeze. And the only money I had outside is I owned my own life insurance. So I was able to borrow that money from myself. And
Mm-hmm.
I've since paid myself back to help me get through the divorce.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
which one would you prefer? If someone had to choose between term and whole, cause
It's very dependent on the variables, Nicole. I couldn't make that recommendation. I would have to look at somebody's variables. It's really important to look at your cash flow. Is this something that you can afford? Because you want to look at, what is the person's bills, how much money do they have coming in, what are their fixed expenses, what are their variable expenses, are they in debt? Like, you want to kind of cover all of those things. So it's very specific to the person. So I couldn't make a general recommendation. There's reasons for both, honestly.
okay.
I just want to go back to divorce for those that might be going through a divorce. You
Yeah.
said if you have life insurance or a 401k or whatever, that once you file for divorce, it automatically freezes. Is that what
It
you
did for
said?
me. It did for me because we started kind of like I had a lawyer, he had a lawyer, and then we signed separation paperwork. From the time that you start the separation process until you finish the divorce, if you have joint assets together where maybe you have an investment account which you both are on, like both your names are on, technically I can't touch that and technically he can't touch that. Joint checking accounts, joint savings accounts, technically you're not supposed to mess around with those because you're going through a separation process. It is a, I explain this to people a lot of times. Marriage is actually a business contract. And when you want to exit that contract, it becomes very business-like. We had property that we owned together that we could not sell until we settled with both of our lawyers and we had the written agreement, and then we could proceed and move forward.
Okay, so this is if you have, if it's joint, if it,
Yes,
if you have on
if it's
paper
joint,
it's
if you have
joint.
joint assets, if you
Okay.
have, like, we own property together, we own multiple pieces of land together, we had a vacation home together, both of our names were on pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Oh
So,
wow.
yeah, yep. It was not easy, definitely not easy. So that was just my situation, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's situation is different.
Oh no, definitely.
Yep,
So
for
can you
sure.
tell us a little something about the book you was just recently featured in?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, actually,
Yeah.
I have a copy right here.
Yes.
Yes.
So surrender to rise. My good friend Elena Rodriguez. She's the CEO of Besitos Beauty, which is a lipstick line, and she is also a coach. We've become very good friends. We met probably 4 years ago now at a speaker competition where you
Okay.
actually go to a competition and you get on stage and you speak and you're evaluated by like high level consultants and coaches. And at that event, somebody did win $50,000.
Wow.
It was my very first time talking about my personal story, and I was like a mess. I mean, I've spoken in front of like 1,000, 1,500, even 2,000 people about business things, but I had never talked about my personal journey, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It was the first time I did it, and the consultants and the coaches in the room told me I came in fourth. So I literally was like, "Oh, I think I'm kind of good at this, right?
Yes.
Like maybe I should consider this." So Elena and I became friends, and she said, "Your story is so impactful about how you left big corporate, how you left a huge job, you left a marriage, you decided you weren't aligned with where your life was, and you made big choices to take back control and like decide you were going to do things different. I would love to have your story featured in this book." This book, Surrender to Rise, the Queen's Edition, is a story of myself and 9 other women that have overcome incredible odds, incredible things. There's a story in here of a young lady who lost a child prematurely, very sad. There's a couple of stories about sexual abuse in childhood that people have gone through. There's stories of tremendous loss, like incredible stories. There's incredible women in this book. And we decided that it would be really cool to take this book and create a live event. So we are going to be doing a live event in Dallas, Texas in May to support the authors in the book. And we have a King's edition as well that's just being released.
That's
So we'll
awesome.
be doing a live speaking event in Dallas, Texas, May 15th through the 17th. And I'm very proud to have built a chapter in this book. My chapter is about unconditional love. And it's really the unconditional love that my father showed for me, and that one of my best friend who encouraged me to leave big corporate because she was battling cancer, and she unfortunately lost her battle, but I was blessed to be with her at the end of her life, and she really pushed me, and she said life is really short and you don't want to have regrets. So I'm
That's
really
true.
blessed to have had this chapter in this book and just be a part of this project. It was really quite healing for me.
That's great.
Yeah.
So, do we see a financial literacy book coming up in the
Yes.
future?
So
Okay.
I've been talking to Elena, and actually a couple other people about creating like financial literacy 101 for women. Like
Yes.
I'm really, really passionate about this. I speak on it every chance I get, just general knowledge. I do workshops where I talk about the mindset and the analytics. And this is a passion project of mine, so it's in the works for sure.
Oh,
And
great.
this is breaking news. I'm gonna break it with you guys.
Okay.
I'm actually going to be part of Prospera Network, which is a TV streaming service that
Yes.
will be launching in July, and I'm very
Nice.
excited about
Yes.
that.
Okay.
Yes.
I did see a piece with you and Elena on YouTube, and it was very inspiring.
Oh, wow.
Thank
Yes.
you. Yeah, we're
Yes.
really
I have to
excited
check
about
that
that.
out.
Yes.
And that's going to be, I've been through a lot this past year with my family, guys.
Okay.
Lost my mom in September,
Yep.
and my dad's been battling cancer. And I want to talk to people just in general about the importance of having an estate plan and a long-term care plan. I'm very passionate about this.
Yeah.
Having seen what I've seen and how important that is to actually even just have conversations within your own family about, God forbid, if something catastrophic happened to you or later in your life, what do you want to have happen?
No, that's
These are
true.
important things to talk about.
That's been
Yeah.
on my mind not to say it's been on my mind a lot lately, but I've been thinking about it a lot because I have one son and he's the only child. And I do wonder about that. What do I do to put, everything in place for him if something, God forbid, something was to happen to me? Because, it's not we don't have a lot because he's the only child. My mother's deceased, and there's no really grandmother around, and so I think about that. What would my child do if something like that happened to me? God
I have an only
forbid.
son too. I have an only son too, Nay. He's
Yeah.
going to college. And I'm like, I don't know what to do with myself.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
God,
that's
I
my
hope,
whole
I hope
heart.
that
I'm like,
doesn't
what do I
happen to
do?
me. Oh my God.
You'll know
They
what
get
to
on your
do.
nerves, but then when they're gone for a short period of time, it's like, oh, okay, I want you home. Just your
Yeah.
presence. It's terrible.
It is
Yeah.
hard.
Oh,
Yeah.
goodness.
No,
Okay.
if there's one thing if I can impart to all of our viewers tonight, it doesn't matter where you start.
No,
It really doesn't. It does not. Like, it doesn't matter. And there should be no judgment with the people that you're working with for advice. There should be no judgment because everyone starts somewhere. And I'm not a believer that you have to have so many dollars to work with us. I don't believe that. I believe I'd like to work with anybody that would like to work with us. So I think wherever you want to start, as long as you start, and if you want to make a change with your relationship with money, anything is possible.
Yeah. It's not how you start, it's how you finish.
Yeah,
It is. So can you tell everybody how they can get a hold of you?
Yes.
absolutely. So we have a website. It's www.breathe, BREATHE, capitalplanning.com. And on the website is our Calendly link. And you can also contact our main office. Our main number is area code 585-703-0245. And we can schedule you that way as well. Even if you just have a question, we will answer your question at no charge. We offer a complimentary consult to anyone that calls us. The work that we do does require a planning fee because we're basically taking all of your puzzle pieces and creating the financial plan for you. So we're not doing anything to generate revenue for ourselves. So that's how we get paid, is we do charge a fee for the work that we do. And then you can choose to implement the plan with us or with other people. Like if you already have an existing relationship with an investment advisor and you love that advisor, we don't demand that you have to change. Like, we just want to make sure that you're in good standing and what you're saying you want to accomplish is actually being done. So that's the work that we do.
Okay. Well, you will be hearing from me.
Thank
I'm
you-
just
thank you,
saying,
ladies,
yeah,
for
because
having me. This has been really fun.
Yes, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Well, that's it for today.
That's it for today. And I can't bless you with my crown
Yes.
because you're on Zoom, but I'm zooming, crown zooming, whatever you want to call it.
I will take it, friend. I will
crown
take it. I have a
because
crown right here. I'll take it.
Yes. And you are truly a New York queen.
Yes, you
and
are.
And we appreciate you and everything that you offer. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
And that's it for another episode of New York Queens Unplugged. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.